Hello, comrades. Welcome back to my channel. So, today we're going to talk about utopia and dystopia. And this topic was commented by one of our viewers, Goldbud. So, shout out to him. So, let's break it down. Utopia, by definition, is an imagined place where everything's perfect: peace, happiness, security. Sounds great, right? Well, not so fast. There is a dark twist to this. What if the utopia that one person envisions ends up being dystopian for another? That's the paradox that's always in the beneath surface. Like the saying goes, one person's utopia is another person's dystopia. Utopias aren't abstract ideas, they have roots in history and are being built in real time today. But what about the catch? What if that so-called perfect society only works by sacrificing certain freedoms, individuality, or even justice? Well, utopians can get pretty brutal, to be honest. History has already shown us how one person's utopia can become another person's dystopia. Take the Shakers, for example. They tried to build their own version of paradise, but people don't always fit into someone else's perfect plan, right? The Shakers wanted communal life with strict equality, no marriage, no private ownership. They envisioned it as a heavenly lifestyle, but for a lot of people, it was closer to a prison. It eventually died out because it just didn't work out for everyone. And we also have a lot of communist countries where the idea was a society where everyone shared equally, but to get there, they have or has to enforce strict controls or eliminate or sometimes even rewrite the whole history. And the reality was more than a nightmare, than a dream. So, why utopia can feel like dystopia? It's like freedom versus control. So, what makes one person's utopia another person's dystopia? Well, it's control. For any utopia to work, there's usually some kind of rule system that people have to follow, no exceptions. This can mean sacrificing freedoms or living under heavy surveillance. Imagine you're living in a world where everyone's peaceful, but only because the dissent is crushed immediately. Is that a paradise or prison, in your opinion? Think of it like a movie where everything looks perfect on the surface, but there is an oppressive force keeping it that way. That's not a new idea. Orwell's 1984 is another classic example. His dystopia was a place where government surveillance, propaganda, and repression kept everyone in the line under the illusion of peace and order. The question is, how different is that from some of the peaceful societies we talk about today? If you want some modern examples, well, look at countries with heavy social credit system, strict censorship, or state-run propaganda. I don't think I have to tell you the countries, but the overall goal is a cohesive, orderly society. But ask anyone who's been there if they would actually call it a paradise. This is the part that always gets me. How is that one person can look at a society and see paradise while another sees hell? It all comes down to your own values. Some people have security, stability, and comfort as a value, while others prioritize freedom, individuality, and risk. A utopia built on security will feel like a dystopia for the freedom lovers, and vice versa. Take, for instance, religion communities that lived in isolated lives bounded by strict rules. To their believers, it's a heaven on earth, a sanctuary from the corrupt outside world. And to an outsider, anyone who values freedom, It can feel like it is an oppressive cult. Here is another thought. What if we actually don't want a perfect world? And let's be real, perfection sounds boring, predictable, and dull. People need to struggle, conflict, growth, and yes, even a little chaos to feel alive. Imagine a world where there is no diversity of thought and no friction and everything is just scripted. That sounds more like a psychological prison than a paradise. Some philosophers did argue that without struggle, what makes us human? We need conflict to grow and innovate and challenge the norms. In a world that's too perfect, maybe we just lose all meaning. Think about it. No one really grows in a bubble. We push against limits, not within them. Every utopia has a price, and it's not always the builders who pay for it. Someone's vision of utopia often requires someone else's to sacrifice. In our world, for example, there is still modern slavery, forced labor, and exploitation. Those things keep us certain societies running smoothly while the marginalized pay the price. So the question is, are these perfect societies actually built on the backs of others? Is it really a utopia if someone has to suffer for it? So let's bring it back to you. What do you think? Can a true utopia exist without creating some kind of dystopia for someone else? Or is it just a matter of perspective? Do drop your thoughts below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and sticking with me and this topic. Bye bye.